everybody, and welcome to your first lesson. Today we're going to go into Sketchbook, and I'm using an iPad, and down there in my toolbar you can see Sketchbook, and I'm going to click on it and we're going to start. And it looks like this. And at the top here we have some toolbars up here at the very top. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get in that image. Hopefully you downloaded the image beforehand of starting this lesson. But once you get it into your device, once you've saved it into your photos or whatever, to get it into Sketchbook, you just go up here at the top. You see there's two little mountains in a box with a plus sign on it. It's right in the center of this bar that I'm moving back and forth. So if you click on that, it'll bring up your photos, and you could go click on your photos and click on the mandala that you downloaded. So don't get nervous. This is in a YouTube, and you can watch it as many times as you want if you don't catch everything that I go over or say. And then also Mr. Rodriguez will go over things as well, and hopefully you'll have some fun with this. So we're just going to treat this as a coloring book. So you're going to hit done. Up there is a button that says done, making it blink so you can kind of see that. And that's what it looks like. Now to magnify this so you can work on it easier, you just click an empty space. Don't click on the drawing because you may accidentally draw on it. If you do an accidental drawing like that, remember up here at the top there is two arrows. They're redo and an undo. Now the left arrow facing left undoes or undoes, and then the one arrow facing right redos. So it's a redo and an undo. If you make a mistake, you can just click off to the side an empty space, and you can drag. Like if you put your thumb and another finger and you pinch together, it will zoom in or zoom out, I mean. And then if you click and pinch outwards or spread your fingers outwards, it'll zoom out. So you want to zoom in so you can see what you're doing here. See, I accidentally drew right there. So I'm going to want to hit undo. Now over here to the side, it's important to understand our layers, because you're going to be working on layers for most of this. Layers are how we separate everything. The character from the line art, from the color. You can separate all your shapes and colors, all your lines, so that you don't screw up one or the other when you're rendering. And you can even put shadows and things like that on separate layers, so you can keep it all separate so it's easy to edit, and that you don't ruin the other pieces of the artwork and have to redo anything. So it's very similar to how Photoshop has layers and other softwares. Some of you may know this and some of you may not. Those of you that are new to this, give yourself a break. It's okay. We're just going to have fun with the software, and a lot of things that you learn in this software you'll be able to take and use later on when we actually do return to the classroom and we're using different softwares. Okay, so right now we're using Sketchbook. If you don't have Sketchbook yet, then you're going to need to install that, and there'll be a video in the stream on how to and where to install Sketchbook. But you should have installed that by now, and also in this lesson I'll show you where to get the mandala. There's several mandalas for you to choose from, which I'll show in this video, and you will choose the one that you want, download that or save it to your photos, and then to bring it in here, you click on the little mountain up there, and you can go to your photos and you can bring in whatever mandala that you want to work on. Now the eyeballs over here in the layers, turn layers off and on. I'm going to paint on this bottom layer here, so I'm going to go and paint. You can see this image is covering it up, but the eyeballs here turn layers off and on. So you can see when you want to work on a layer, you click on it and it outlines it in a blue box. If you click and hold down on the layer, you can get to a palette here that allows you to delete a layer or clear a layer. So for instance, I did that by accident. For instance, if I want to unhide this layer, I want to delete this mandala that I just brought in, it's at the top there. You can click on it and go to delete. If I go down to the layer where I did my drawings and select it, I just click on it and it outlines in blue. And if I click and hold down on it again, I can go, sometimes just clicking on it twice will allow you to get to this menu. Or sometimes if you click and hold down on it, it'll let you drag the layer around as well. So it doesn't have to remain on the bottom. I can put it on the top of the other layer, but you have to hold down on it. So you can click for the menu here, or click and hold down to move the layer above or below another layer. You're going to want to have a new layer today underneath your mandala layer, but what I'm showing you here is you could go over to clear. So if I draw on here and I want to clear that, click on the layer, go to clear. If I add a new layer, you click on the plus sign at the top of the layers palette. So way up there where the plus sign is, that'll add several layers, and you can click on them, go to delete. I can draw on them. I can select them to work on. And I'll show you this in a minute on how to get that color in paint, but I just wanted to show you how I separate it. So the eyeballs turn off the layers. Okay, and you can see I'm not drawing on the mandala, I'm drawing underneath it. The mandala is transparent right now, so you can see these checker marks when I turn off the background layer. That's the one at the very bottom there, and those check marks indicate transparent background. So it's just the line art. So basically how you would do your own character in the future is you'd draw it line art and put that on a layer, and then you would go to different layers underneath it and above it and so forth to render it with color. So what you're going to do today is I'm going to delete these layers. Delete. I can go clear the layer. That just kind of wipes out the artwork on the layer. And I can go delete the layer, and I'm going to clear that. So this is what it looks like when you're going to open it up. So you're going to want to go up to the little mountain icon with the plus sign on it and go to your photos, and hopefully you downloaded the photo by now or saved it into your photos from the resource file in the Cat Island lighthouse area, which I'm going to show you later again. So you're going to go ahead and hit done. You can see my mandala is on a separate layer, and underneath it is a blank layer. So I'm going to click on that blank layer. If you want to add a new layer, you click on the plus sign. If you want to delete a layer, click on the layer, and it gets you to this layers options, and you can hit clear, delete, all kinds of stuff. So now we're going to start painting. You're not going to paint on the mandala layer. If you do that, you will cover up your black lines and basically ruin it. I'm going to hit undo. So if you go to the layer beneath that, you can see the blue outline is around that box here. So you can see that blue out. That means I'm on that layer beneath the mandala. I can now start drawing. Now I suggest you draw with either the pencil tool or the tool over here to the side called the tattoo inker. You may experiment with some of these tools. Basically how these tools work is they have whatever tool you pick, you can go to settings and change your size, your flow, your blend, all this different stuff that you'll learn. Or you can go to the library and pick a tool here. I would just stick today with one and not try to experiment too much, because Mr. Rodriguez and myself will go over more of this later, and it's kind of a rabbit hole. If you go down that, you'll end up getting a little sidetracked. But later we're going to want to experiment. So I would probably just stick with the tattoo inker or the pencil today. I'm going to go with that one. Over here this is called the puck. Now the puck allows you at the bottom circle where it's yellow to click in there and get to your color picker, and you can just go around the spectrum and choose whatever color you want, and then you can pick darkness or lightness depending on what you want to play with, and then just click on the puck circle again to get rid of that. The top one shows you the tool again, and so that allows you to kind of go in there and get to that same menu of settings and libraries of your brush here. Notice there's a slider off to the left of the screen sliding up and down. So there's several ways of doing the same thing at whatever it works for your convenience. They've tried to make it available, like to change the brush size in several different areas. Now some tools have what's called flow and some have opacity. If you look to the side, I'm going to get rid of that. If you look over here to the side here, there's a little slider at the bottom that says flow. When I'm on the tattoo inker, when I'm on the pencil tool, it says opacity. So some have opacity, some have flow, but they don't have both really. Flow is the heaviness of your stroke when you're painting with your finger, or if you have a stylus that you're painting with. You're kind of going to be finger painting a little bit in the mobile version. The pencil tool, for instance, has a opacity. So 100% opacity is totally solid. You can see the pencil tool is a little bit crunchy. And then if you take it down, it's very, very transparent for like light shading and things like that. The top slider here is the size for all brushes and all tools, I mean. So whether you're on the inker or whatever tool, this will determine how big of a brush you're on. If it's really small or if it's really big. Okay, and then the flow. So I'm going to use the tattoo ink marker. You can use whatever tool you want. Now, how do we clear all this junk out? You go over here to the layer, click on it, and hit clear. So I'm going to turn back on with the eyeball. Remember, the eyeball turns off the layer and the layer back on. So I'm going to turn back on the mandala while working on the layer beneath it. So it's outlined in blue. I'm going to pick my color with the puck. I'm going to go to my tool and I'm going to carefully, whoops, I got too big of a brush. So I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to take my brush size down to like maybe 8 or 9 or 7, and I'm just going to kind of carefully start painting in areas of my mandala. Now the mandala has a transparency to it so that you are, and remember you're working on a layer beneath it, so you're not really affecting the line art. And you do have an eraser tool, so if you wanted to get in there and like erase areas, you could just go click on your eraser tool and then click back on the right tool. So I go back to the puck and I get a new color. Click on the color again to get rid of that, and then I basically got a coloring book here, you know. Oops, I want to go to my eraser tool and erase that. Go back to my ink marker. Okay, and then slowly you're going to render, that's what rendering means, to color your artwork with your line art with color. Okay, so I'm kind of just going in here and rendering with color. Alright, so I don't have time to finish this one by any means, but I want to show you what this looks like without the mandala. So if I turn off the mandala, that's what I did. Looks a little sloppy because I was kind of going through it fast because I can't do that long of a video, but I can turn it off and on. You can even create new layers for different colors if you want, which is probably what we'll do when we're working on a more advanced artwork. Okay, so that's your basics. Again, you bring it in up here. Go get it from your photos. It'll go on a layer. You're going to make a new layer with the plus sign over here, and to draw on that below the artwork layer. If you click on a layer, you can delete it, clear it. If you click on a tool, you can change the size and the settings. The easiest way I found that just change the settings on your tool is to go to the tool that you want. You could go to the library, pick whatever one you want, and then to just use the slider at the bottom for flow. Remember, the bigger the number in flow, the heavier the stroke. If you're on the pencil tool, you have opacity. And the top slider is for size. So that's the quickest I found to just like change the size of your brush or your tool, and to change the flow or the opacity really quickly. And just to go back and forth between that, and then pick your color and go back and paint. Now to save this up here at the top, all you have to do is go to this little three, I'm going to make it try to kind of blink on and off up there at the top. That will let you, if you click on it, bring up this little menu, and this is where we can create a new sketch, or we could share this, but where it says gallery, this is where you can save the current sketch. Okay, and there's, you can see another one that I did earlier as a template. Okay, and then now I'm ready to just kind of get out of here and click on the sketch to bring it back up, the work on it again. Like if you don't finish in one session, you can go back to open up Sketchbook. So I could click off Sketchbook and physically quit out of Sketchbook, and I could come in, open Sketchbook the next day, go to my gallery and pick the one that I want to work on. You just double click on it and continue where you left off. Okay, so that ends today's lesson. I'm going to put this in YouTube and then show you where to get this file in the same video.